Time to play the game. Time to play the game. It's all about the game and how you play it. All about control, and if you can take it, all about your debt. And if you can pay it, it's all about pain. And who's gonna make it? I am the game. You don't wanna play me. I am control. No way you can shake me. I am heavy debt. No way you can pay me. I am the pain, and I know you can't take me. Look over your shoulder, ready to run like a Cleveland bench from a smoking gun. I am the game, and I may do some move on out. You can die like a fool.
I'm very concerned that we don't have Radner here because Radner is the only voice of reason. He's the only adult in the room. So I don't. He's really the only one that adds any sort of grounding. Like without that, it's just entropy.
This episode is fucked. We're so fucked.
We're so fucked without him.
He's like, okay, so, are you two done talking? I'm going to say something of actual substance. And, he'll like talk as long as he can before one of us tramples over him and starts going, keeps up with the, what did you call it? Entropy?
Entropy. You know what I feel like? Yeah. We are free radicals and he is an antioxidant. You know what I mean?
He's
and
an
we
uncle
need
oxidant,
him.
Please. Uncle oxidant.
Right.
He's so, uncle oxidant.
But but Hope is wearing like antlers on her shirt.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I'm mad because I was trying to find my sporty shirt, but it's in the laundry, so I put my Christmas reprieve shirt on actually because my mother.
That's adorable.
Awesome.
Freaking reindeer.
Okay.
But I'm mad though.
So yeah, we have no Ken today. It's just me, Hope, and Dave.
Let me put my seatbelt on.
How are we all doing today?
I'm gonna put my cup on. How you guys? I'm good.
Good. Where are you putting that cup?
Oh, my bra, you crazy freak.
Well, and that's what I wanted to know, man. So today's February 6th. Today's February 6th, and 5 days before the Super Bowl. I have no idea who is competing in the match of the Super Bowl.
I thought it was Taylor Swift.
Willfully agree.
Is Taylor Swift competing
against everyone?
Taylor Swift is competing with her boyfriend in the Super Bowl.
No, she's on her boyfriend's team. She's competing with every single other motherfucker in the universe, and my bets are on her.
Okay,
I think she can win because let me tell you, I have to say I don't really know much of Taylor Swift's music because I'm just not a pop music guy. However, I do consider myself a Swiftie, even though I don't know any of the music. I'm just a fan of her. It's like Cardi B. It's like Cardi B. I don't really care for Cardi B. I mean, she's got a couple songs. I'm like, okay, that's nice, but I love her because she's a fucking hoot.
Look, man, she's got some brats. What's that, Hope?
I said they should have called her Cardi Double D. Sorry.
Yeah, but look, Cardi B has got some brass.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, at one point, I don't know what it was, like 2-3 years ago, second most popular song in the world literally contained the phrase, I want you to back that Mack truck up into this little garage, or I might be paraphrasing, but that's it's a poetic song.
I love living in today. I really do. I think it's I love living today. It's just, today is a wonderful time. In the old days, we would never have had lyrics like that. And that would have, that's
not even true. We would have had lyrics like that. But unfortunately, because Hollywood is funding certain, Illuminati oriented individuals, and trying to summon weird entities, people like Secret Ion can't get on the radio with songs like My Vagina Fell Off.
Please tell me that's real.
20 years. It is
Please
real.
tell me that's a real song.
Oh, that's a real song.
It's actually really called If You Trim It, They Will Come. But I'm paraphrasing for the purposes of this content.
Yeah.
Anyways, I feel like Cardi B just copied us. The end. Fuck her.
Yeah. Well, Cardi B
I was
copied
a,
us.
I was a burlesque dancer. She was a stripper. Oh, so much braver. Fuck
Oh,
you, Cardi
oh
B.
my God. Yeah. Well, that's the
Sorry.
way. That's the way of the world. And now that we've gotten that out of the way, we're all here. We're all anticipating the Super Bowl because I think there's going to be like cake and pizza. Wherever anyone has it on the TV, there has to be pizza. So
Yeah.
And
you know,
and isn't like as guys, are we supposed to have wings? Isn't wings like what men do?
I think
I'm
so.
not a guy.
But
I'm
think-
sorry, Hope. I'm sorry. I'm referring to John and myself. Actually, myself trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do as a man. As a man, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to like fist bump and go, yeah, nice
If you,
tits, and have a
Oh,
chicken
yeah.
wing.
Hi,
Right? Is
thought
that
you
what
were-
I'm supposed to do?
my name
I
is
thought you
Ken
were wrong
Radner, and we're talking about NFL SuperPro.
Oh, you
Where'd that
said
come
Super
from?
Pro. I thought you said Super Bowl. I'm sorry.
No, Super Pro.
Oh,
That
Super
like
Bowl
Ken
time.
Radner just came out of nowhere to kind of like steer us in the right direction.
I like that
Did you
he's
just
still with us
summon
in
him?
spirit. I like
Yeah,
yeah, he
Summon
did.
Ken.
He summoned
I
Ken.
shall
I
know.
summoned Ken.
The
Summoning
voice of
Ken.
reason.
One very interesting thing about this comic book is that if you look at the 15th panel, you'll notice that he's looking in a certain direction, and this is indicative of whatever. I don't know. I can't summon Ken for that long, so I'm trying to.
This is why you're not corralling the conversation.
Not.
You have to
I'm not.
summon Ken better.
I can't herd the cattle the way that Ken does.
Damn! First, I got my gender wrongly assumed, and now I'm cattle. I don't like this
Man.
episode.
Okay, so Super Bowl is in 5 days. I don't know who's in the Super Bowl. The only thing I do know is that down the street from where I live, someone has a flag that says San Francisco 49ers. I'm assuming that has something to do with it because we're not in
No
San
way.
Francisco.
And I think all right, okay. So I saw a meme by an angry white man who said, God damn it, now with the Super Bowl, I am left with choosing to cheer for either liberal San Francisco or Taylor Swift at the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think that's who's
it looks
on
like
it.
we have this narrowed down then, who's actually playing in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it's those two.
So it's San
Wait,
Francisco and Kansas City.
Chiefs. All right.
All right.
Well, I like both teams have red in it. That's my favorite color, so I vote for both of them. Fuck you.
Look, man, it's a whole
That's
bunch
fair.
of giant guys who are like bumping into each other and giving each other brain damage. So like, what's not to love?
Yeah, they're all going to end up
It's
like
good
me.
for me.
And you didn't even play football.
Just brain injury on top of brain injury.
Look, the only
So
time I ever watched football was during the Super Bowl, really, and it was just to look at the men touching and having butts.
touching each other
in their
fast
little tight pants.
and their sexy
One
little pants.
reason alone. And because the salsa is always good at those parties.
That's true.
So here's the twist. My fiance Lara actually is very much into football. She wants to find a place where the Super Bowl is being aired so she can have the buffalo wings and pizza and all that stuff. And I'm just like, okay, sweetie, that's nice, So anyway, speaking of, we may be talking about something today. We have NFL SuperPro #1. And if you're wondering, I'm showing this to the screen people who are on the Zoom with me right now. If you're wondering, yes, I did pay for this, and yes, I do regret paying for it because I bought a physical copy of this book, thinking like, oh, this is going to be great, and I'm like, nah, it's pretty fucking awful.
No, it wasn't great, John. It wasn't great. And I go back to what I said to you at your birthday. I did not realize being your friend was going to be this painful.
It's a painful thing. It's already painful enough if you don't have assignments. And then I take the extra step. I go the extra mile and I say, you have to read this awful comic. You have to watch this terrible movie, this terrible TV show, this terrible cartoon about a talking deer, but you know what? At the end of the day, someone's got to do it. And the fact that you keep coming back makes me question your sanity.
Dude, somebody has to do it. And for that, I'd like to say to you both, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your cervix.
Exactly.
Thank you for your cervix.
Cervix.
Thank you for your service within the cervix.
Thank you. Cervix with a smile. Thank you.
So this is NFL SuperPro number 1 from 1991. It is technically not NFL SuperPro's first appearance. He has a much longer first appearance that's terrible for not entertaining reasons. It's just very boring. It's very slow moving. And then you get like one of his teammates becomes a mutant, I think. And, that's when it becomes dumb, but then it ends immediately after.
Oh, that's when it becomes dumb. Okay.
Well, yeah, because, he gets himself injured rescuing a baby, I think, right? And he doesn't even injure himself playing football. He gets injured rescuing a baby. And so he's like, oh, well, there goes my football career. And some scientist had been working on an indestructible football uniform.
Well, I hope that baby was worth it.
God damn it.
Yeah, man.
And the ironic part, Dave, is that baby was you. So
not worth it. Not worth it.
Not worth it. Although the timeline would suggest otherwise, because you were probably already like 25 at the time. Right. So yeah.
A 25-year-old baby?
A 25-year-old baby. Yeah.
That's super weird.
It's a baby with chest hair.
Like a diaper wearing baby. Diaper Dave.
Diaper wearing 25-year-old. So yeah. And like he has this girlfriend who doesn't know that he's NFL SuperPro and has absolutely no suspicions about it, even though he's like always really passionate about everything. He's like a journalist. He's a sports writer, and he's always getting really angry and passionate about shit. And she's like, oh, well, maybe I can help. You can't help. So anyway, that's all in the first appearance of NFL SuperPro. The thing that sucks about this one is that it's actually like it's a decent like story, but very poorly executed, right? Excuse me. Where like someone kills this guy named Murtaugh, and like one of his former teammates or something was accused of the murder, and he's like, oh, well, I happen to know that he didn't do it.
He seemed very confident in the fact that he didn't do it. Yeah. Like, and I don't believe that he did. I don't have no reason to think that. But it was just like, no, I met the guy that time, and he definitely didn't do it. You know what I mean? Like it was. You never know. Right. Everybody's horrible. He absolutely could have done it.
I mean, the thing is, in NFL SuperPro number 1, especially if it's number 1 in the series, I feel like it would be off to a very poor start if the guy that he was so confident didn't do it, it turned out that he did do it. And he'd be a really bad superhero if that were the case. So it's just
but I don't know that he's a really good superhero. So he's not. I'd like to point out he's a superhero that needed a ride from his buddy Ken in a panel van, in a fucking a child molester van, the nondescriptor van. Oh. So think about it. That's who he called for a ride. Here's my buddy Ken. And by the way, that reminds me, I had my buddy Gary used to have, when I lived in South Carolina, he had a vending machine business. So he had one of those CMV vans, but it was filled with candy bars and Doritos. Oh my God. I would get in there and I'm like, dude, this is the worst, because on top of the nondescript panel van, it's filled with snacks. Why does the inside of your van smell like sadness and shame?
No, what are you talking about? Is this thing
it was horrible. Horrible. And I have no reason
That's to your friend?
Yeah, he's I mean, I call him my friend. He's but he has free Doritos for me, so I have to be.
Hey, you know what though? I didn't know. I thought that was going to go to a different direction where like his van actually does have candy and Doritos in it. So it's like on top of being like nondescript and all that stuff, he'll like slide the doors open and it's like every child's just like dream. Be like,
oh yeah.
Doritos.
That was his
Yeah.
van. It was literally stuffed
Right.
with like bags of corn chips and Doritos and candy bars and all stuff. I was like, dude, whatever you do, just don't get pulled over by the cops. Don't get.
Oh no! What is going on back there?
Oh my God, man.
So anyway, but yeah, like how good of a
Yeah.
superhero are you if you have to have your friend Ken and his van come pick you up?
Well, he's also like, another thing that I would want to say about that is that he's like, oh, like I'm really bad at this whole superhero thing. And, like in the beginning, what did he do? He tried to stop that guy from murdering someone. Someone else murdered the guy. He goes down and he tries to catch him. He is not able to catch him. Spider-Man comes along and says, I'm going to put this GPS tracker on his car.
Yeah. He's a man with a plan. He's a man with a plan, Spidey. Yeah.
And Spider-Man comes down and he goes, Spider-Man comes down and he goes, NFL SuperPro is really not bad. And it's like, well, what about that display makes you say he's not bad? He literally let someone murder someone and allowed him to get away. Like, oh yeah, no, he's not bad. He's pretty good at what he does.
I'm going to come to SuperPro's defense, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say, because for two reasons. So number one is SuperPro, he's a noob, right? He's making noob mistakes. Number two, SuperPro is just a guy with a suit. Spidey actually has superpowers, like he has Spidey senses, which you see going on. So in SuperPro's defense, he's new to this. I still have issue with the fact that he doesn't have his own transportation. I figured as a NFL superstar, he could afford his own transportation of some sort, but other than that, he's new. He's learning the ropes. He hasn't learned the code of the superhero, the code of the vigilante. I think there's hope for him if the years of accumulated brain trauma don't get in the way.
Well, and either that or he's gonna have to make good on his deal with Jane Dixon, because they're like part-time, what did he say? It was like
gal pal.
Time gal pal.
Yeah.
What a silly thing to say. I mean, that's even cheesy for 1991.
Right.
I think he even made a comment about that, like he needs to learn new slang or something like that. Did you catch that?
I mean, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. And I was very disappointed with the appearance of Jane Dixon, because when I turned the page and I saw the picture, I was like, oh, and this is, and it turned to very quick disappointment, because he's like, I'm going to call you for support. Right. Because he's troubled. He's like, I let this guy get killed. And my buddy who I play football with is under, and I just need somebody to talk to. And she's like, you'll be all right. Maybe I'll scoop you on the story. See ya. And that was it. Well, that's the support.
Yeah. Well, because
I mean, she doesn't even like him that much, though. It doesn't seem. Sorry. I think he's more into her than she is into him. She's just there for like funsies and like getting one up on the story with him.
But it's like I said, Jane Dixon does not know why he's so troubled. She thinks he like fucked up an assignment or something. She doesn't know that he let someone, get murdered because it was his responsibility to stop him. So what I was going to say before regarding the whole like GPS tracker on the guy's car, did that ever lead to anything? Did I miss that? Or did it just
think so. Now that
did he do it and nothing happened of it? Yeah.
No, that tracker took him to the mansion.
Was that what it did?
Oh.
Yeah, the first tracker took him to the mansion, and then the second tracker, he tracked them to like the last scene. But
there was another tracker rather.
Yeah, that tracker was how he got to the guy's mansion. Because he was all up on that bitch. I don't know.
let's talk about this guy, Edison, the chauffeur, right?
Oh
What,
yeah.
like, it just seemed so like unnatural that he just kept cursing, and since they can't print the cursing in the comic book,
The
it's
fuck are you
just the whole.
talking about? That's just me. What do you mean that's unnatural? That's just
No, no,
this.
no, 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 no. You, that's fine. Me, that's fine. Hope, that's fine. But like
Yeah, it is.
everyone, yeah, everyone in the book, he's like, it was right in his fucking pocket. And then everyone's like, your language, my God. And everyone had something to say about how much he cursed. And I'm like, are you just trying to fill up space
Well,
with
what I
this? Like,
found,
Because
what I
it was
found. Go ahead,
I'm
Hope.
sorry. It was because it was so awkward. He
yeah,
always found a time to cuss when it was like not a normal person would even cuss there,
not,
I think.
not a normal time. No.
There's no normal time. I was at I gave my wake. I gave the eulogy at my father's wake at my father's
Mhm.
funeral, and I was like, this fucking guy talking about my dad. That's he was the nicest fucking guy. There's no right or wrong.
Right,
Mhm.
but
Oh,
that's appropriate. No, that's appropriate. Like this fucking guy, but this guy would be like, this guy, fuck. It was like,
This
wait,
is fuck.
like you're in the
Like,
wrong. Like syntax is off, dude. Stop
maybe he's
it.
just from
Stop
Jersey.
talking.
That's
get
all.
off the
No,
fucking
burn.
windshield. Well, one thing that confused me is that I thought he played for the NFL SuperPro. I thought he played for the New York Giants. Why are they all of a sudden in Los Angeles?
Well, he could be hired for the Giants, but lives in LA. Sports, they hire people from wherever. Sammy
Oh wait,
Sosa played for the Yankees, but he wasn't, he was Dominican. He wasn't New Yorker.
I
I
don't think
buy that. I buy that.
I don't think he actually lives in Los Angeles though. I think he's there on assignment. That's why he's talking to Jane Dixon on the phone like that
Like Peter
instead of
Parker. Peter Parker was there on assignment. Spider-Man.
right, exactly. They were both
Yeah,
just
that
there on
makes sense.
assignment.
Yeah,
I
everybody
think
was
that
Yeah.
reporting.
yeah, everyone's there. No one goes to Los Angeles unless they're on assignment. Like that's the way that it
Yeah,
works.
nobody actually lives there. Nobody's lived. When I moved to Myrtle Beach, I was convinced. It reminds me when I lived in Myrtle Beach, I lived there for about 4 or 5 years. I never met anybody born there. I was pretty sure that the hospital didn't have a maternity ward because everybody I was like, "Hey, where are you from? New Jersey. Where are you from? Ohio. Where are you from? Canada."
Right.
Yeah, until and like 2 years in, I finally met somebody who was actually born there, who ironically had no discernible Southern accent whatsoever.
Ah,
But
It's the
but I
same in
wonder,
Arizona. It's the same in
everybody's an
Arizona.
outsider. Everybody's from somewhere else.
it's like Las
25% of people
Vegas.
in Arizona are born there. The rest, 75% are transplants.
Yeah,
Mm.
and like you said, John, Las Vegas, because I know a lot of people in Las Vegas. They live there after moving there, and they're like, I am not bringing a child into this town. But going back to the f bombs from the valet who was the
Right.
assassin. So here's something I caught that I thought was
The
really
worst.
weird. Is when he's given the report to what's his face, Sanzionari, the mob boss, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Yo, I shot this fucking guy and this fucking football player," and then the mob boss was like, "Hey, watch your language."
Language.
I've
I'm like,
I've actually met mob bosses, and I will tell you this: not one of them would have checked his fucking language. Not one. Not a
You
one.
know,
not a single one of them. And I believe it.
it's like people just.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
Okay.
don't either, man.
So now we'll move on from that. Like we have the thing where Spidey put the GPS tracker in the guy's car. They ended up in his mansion and blah blah blah. So it did turn out that the guy who was accused of murder didn't actually murder anyone, and like he got off because of it. But it's like this book, like I don't know, maybe the writing matured by issue 12 because this whole series only lasted 12 issues.
Wait, there were
There's a little
12 of these?
12, well, technically 13 because the first appearance was its own issue. So
someone thought we should do more of these.
so let me give you a little bit of A little background on the whole situation.
Oh, please do.
The NFL collaborated with Marvel. Now I don't know whose idea it was. Who
Somebody
said,
at NFL was like, "Hey, let's get the comic book nerds. Maybe they'll watch football."
yeah, they the guy who wrote it, what's his name? Something. Fabian Nicieza, I believe is how you pronounce it. Fabian Nicieza didn't want to write this comic, but the NFL said, if you write this, make it a series. I don't know if they intended it for it to be long term, but they were like, we'll just give you a whole bunch of free NFL tickets if you write the comic. And he was like, okay. And then he wrote it. So it was
Wow.
pretty much like from the beginning, it had no chance of survival because the guy didn't want to do it. He was just sort of like, I'm doing this because I'm getting free tickets to football games. Okay,
Fair.
cool. Yeah. This was not. It's a little disappointing, but not at all surprising that this book was not meant to be taken as a serious addition to the Marvel universe. All the same, though, it is. It was in the Marvel universe. So,
I would love to see an MCU movie about this character. I would really like to see somebody in Hollywood struggling over this one. You know what I mean? Like NFL puts in like $200 million and is like, hey, we need advertising. And this is advertising in the form of a movie, right?
Mhm.
Like the military does. Like the military, so they can get our young children to join the military and become ground up in the meat grinder of the United States military machine. I'm getting off my soapbox now.
Oh my God.
But what if the NFL did that? And now Marvel is like, well, we just got $500 million from the NFL to advertise their shit. And they tried to make a movie out of this fucking shit show.
And now featuring John Cena as NFL SuperPro.
Oh yeah,
Perfect.
And the fucking rap song comes out. That's awesome.
Is he not an odd-looking little man, John Cena? By the way,
Yeah,
is it me like his
little.
physical proportions just seem off?
I wouldn't describe him as a little man. I don't know if that's what you
but
meant.
Because of his proportions, he always looks like a very little man. I know he's all muscular and everything, but I don't know if his head is oversized for his body or whatever.
That's probably
right. I feel like his name should be something like Thumpkin.
You can play you as a 25-year-old adult baby also.
Yes. Yes. Like, how did that head get out?
Put his arms up, pulled up his belt, but he's wearing a diaper.
What I want to know is usually babies are born with big heads and then they grow into their body. Like I had a nephew, my youngest nephew. I love him to pieces. He was born with an unusually large cranium. No, seriously. When he was a little kid and he wanted to play,
Cena.
When he wanted to play Pop Warner football as a little kid, they had to order like a separate helmet other than the one that they normally had because it just wouldn't go on his bean. But now the kid's like 6'3". He grew into his head and now it looks appropriate. John Cena has not.
He did the opposite. He was born with an above average head. And it stays that way.
No, what I want to know is if he looks like that now and he's a big guy, how fucking hard does his mother have to push to get that giant meteor out from her uterus?
John Cena's
and did she survive?
He's a bobblehead. John Cena's bobblehead looks proportionate compared to other bobbleheads.
He's a fucking bobblehead.
But Dave, we're assuming that John Cena's mother had a natural birth. It might have been a Cena section.
Oh, God damn! I don't know if I should give you a round of applause or detention for that.
Fuck yeah! Fucking Cena section. I'm gonna see myself
Cena section.
Out of here. Oh, fuck.
Oh man. Okay. All
So
right.
this is Ken Radner speaking
Yeah.
again.
Yes, let's bring it back. Let's bring it
Ken
back.
Radner
Bring it
back to
back.
the rescue.
Ken Radner comes back.
What would
So
what would we do
Spider-Man.
without him?
Well,
This episode was-
we never be able to do this. So Spider-Man comes back, like the valet guy is like perched on top of a building and he's trying to kill someone. I don't even like at this point. I don't know if it's just because I stopped paying attention or because they got lazy and stopped bothering explaining things,
It's both.
or maybe it's a combination of both.
You stopped paying attention because they
Yes.
stopped explaining things.
They stopped explaining things, right? Yeah. So
I read this comic 3 times. I read this motherfucker
This guy-
3 times because of that shit.
So this guy's on top of the building. He's like trying to kill someone, and Spider-Man stops him, and he curses again. Spider-Man says, "Oh, you have such a mouth." The guy falls to his death. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess the guy fell to his death, and then what? Like,
Which, by the way, the Punisher would never have allowed.
right?
Remember
'Cause you
the
can't let
big
people
stink?
fall off a building? Yes.
Correct, right? Because that's not, as we discussed, that is not part of the vigilante code. You have to kill somebody the right way to be a good vigilante. And the Punisher had standards. He had ethical standards in how he murdered people.
Yes.
Yeah, they were low, but they were standards, just like
They
were
were
in their head.
had ethical standards.
Yeah.
How dare you, jackal? I can't believe you would do that. You know, a man has to fall off a building with dignity. If he wants to jump, let him, but you can't push him.
Right. That's
Right.
not the vigilante code, but that's neither here nor there. That's all
Okay.
academic.
Then at the end of this book, they end up in a mansion. NFL SuperPro pops up out of nowhere. Always feels the need to introduce himself. I'm NFL SuperPro. Like, okay, well, that's great. That's wonderful. And he's like, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. We're in this guy's mansion. Now what? I don't know what the hell happened. I can't make sense of any of this. Maybe because I'm an idiot, or maybe because they don't know how to make sense of it. But what I do know is that NFL SuperPro was there. He saved the day, and the guy who was accused of murder got off. And the weird part about it is that when the guy got off from the accusation and was no longer convicted, they were like, oh, well, we don't know something or other, but we're going to find that out, which means that this story, even though it's been resolved, is still going to continue. Like, why do we the story? I don't get it.
That's actually why I asked if I was supposed to read another comic.
Yeah.
Because I had to. This was like not a part 2, but it was like because it said end at the end of it, and it felt like it was definitely not done.
If it didn't say the end at the end, I would have tried to turn the page to another page. I wouldn't have known it was the end unless they told me emphatically that it is the end.
It's the most abrupt.
That last
I
panel,
never saw a more abrupt ending.
right?
Comic.
The last panel
Never.
doesn't look like a final panel. It just looks like they're talking, and it even looks like they're planning something else. Like, okay, we got to get this done, and it's like, oh, the end. Like, oh, all right. Well, so what did they do? We weren't able to get the tape Murtaugh was carrying, but these thugs should sing enough to clear you from the grand jury indictment. Like, all right. We've done what we can for now. We'll get sent there and that tape in time. So now they're like they're trying to find a tape, even though these people are going to.
Which is also why. Yeah, they're still trying to go after that fucking tape. And I'm like, okay, so nobody really got any resolution here except so-and-so kind of got his name clear, but everybody doesn't like him anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other guy died. I don't know, it's a little bit did I miss something? There has to be I must have been supposed to do the whole series. The end? Are you serious? Right there?
Well, here's the thing, Hope. I'm not as sadistic as I am to my panel. I don't want you to punish yourself more than you absolutely have to. So
there
right,
is
like,
not enough Xanax in the Western Hemisphere to get me to go in for more of this
read
shit.
more of this shit.
I mean,
So,
the reason I hesitated until tonight, because we were supposed to do this last night, but we ended up
right,
doing it tonight or night yesterday.
whatever it was, 2
I was
nights
just
ago. Yeah.
like, yeah, I was like, no, it couldn't. Like it said the end. Like, chill out, Hope. Don't ask.
Chill out.
Don't ask if there's another comic. And then tonight, I was just like, if there's another fucking comic, and I was supposed to have read it, these poor assholes will have gone through an extra set of hell.
I
So
know.
I had like a half an hour before the show came up. I was like, John, is there another comic I missed?
Hope and I are at the point. Hope and I are at the point that we're gonna start charging you for being your friend for all the fucking effort that it takes.
Yeah. All right. That's a great idea. I want
We're gonna start invoicing you.
All right. You'll invoice me, and like that invoice will look really strange. It'll be like Pet Cemetery shit movie, NFL SuperPro, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Like what the fuck is this? Like,
It is the end of the world. This is Armageddon. The proof in the pudding.
yes.
Every single jump the shark you put us on, you hate us the worst of your whole friends. Even Ken, you hate us worse than Ken. I want to see. I really want to see. I literally I want to see who is the last survivor between me and Dave.
That's how we're gonna find out.
Well,
Hope that's how we find out. That's how we find out who he hates the most. Whoever he makes more of this shit is the one he hates the most.
Dave, this is not a contest about who I hate the most. This is a contest about who hates me the most. Like, who's gonna like back out and say, I cannot put up with one more day of this shit.
I have to say, as much as we say about busting your balls about that,
Yeah.
I mean, like some of the stuff that we've had to watch and read, it is so it is so comical to realize how much bad content there is out there. There was a cell in
It is the end of the world.
where he's fighting. He's at the end and he's fighting the assassins, right? And he just kicks this guy like a football punt. I don't know if you can see this. Him, like he's like punting the guy, and then the next guy he grabs, he goes, and the guy goes, okay, I give. And he goes, no, you received a pounding, that is. I was like, what?
The puns are just fucking awful.
Oh my God.
The cover. The cover says he went from sacking quarterbacks to tackling crime. Give me a fucking break.
There was
all right, because you remember Pete Rose. How many footballs of Pete Rose's ass are we giving this comic?
that's to be determined. That's still to be.
We're going to talk about Pete Rose.
Yes. How many footballs?
Hey, that was the best.
This comic.
Pete Rose, the best haircut in sports history. Do you remember that motherfucker? How much money did you make? And that's the best you got?
Oh, it's like Trump. How are you running? Excuse me. How are you having a hand up your ass so far that your mouth is moving in?
It's like controlling your own self like a puppet from your ass. You're like reaching up. No one can actually see what I'm doing except for the two of you, but it's quite a sight to behold.
But that would be another villain in this comic book, and we'll call him the Puppet Master. That's
I don't want to think about that again. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Listen to me. And Hope too. Listen to me. I watched a YouTube video about the NFL SuperPro series. Now, off the top of my head, I'm not recalling any of the ridiculousness that is featured, but villains and heroes and sidekicks are there are so many stupid things just based on their names. Now, I invite anyone to just look up NFL SuperPro history or whatever, and you'll find this. And I'm just sitting there watching this video like, that's a real thing. That's something that got published in a comic book by a very successful and famous person.
That's what happens when you give somebody enough free NFL tickets. That motherfucker sold his soul to the devil immediately.
Yeah.
Good
Right.
for him. Whatever you gotta do, sweetheart. How many footballs up to Pete Rose's ass do you give it?
You got to do whatever you can if you want to go. If you want to go see for free a bunch of guys in little tight pants with their little shoulder pads,
Oh yeah,
grabbing at each other. Hey, you go for it, buddy. Make a bad comic book. I will say there was one thing in this comic book that I was like, that was handled with a little bit of finesse. Now, John, Hope, you may remember, we've talked about this a couple times on the show about expository moments.
Yes.
And how cumbersome they often are. There was one little detail in this comic book, and I was like, that's the way you should do it. This is the right one. So there was the scene where and this is great for a guy like me who doesn't really know comic books. I'm like, I know Spider-Man. I don't know what Peter Parker looks like in the comic book. So there was the scene where they were at the press conference and they showed Peter Parker looking at SuperPro, but you see Peter Parker and you see half his face, half the Spider-Man mask, and then SuperPro. Half this. And I was like, that to me was good artistic license and finesse in doing the exposition, the expository stuff, because I often complain about that in comic books about how clumsy they do it. Instead, they could have sat there and taken 3 panels and been like, oh, and Peter Parker, who was also invited to cover this, is wondering this XYZ. And that was so much better handled than I was actually expecting because of my previous traumatic experiences with expository comic books.
So owing to that, yes, that especially like in the early 60s when Marvel comics were first starting to be, like released, and there was like Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange, like those kinds of things. The characters would talk out loud to themselves.
Oh yeah.
And say, I'll be doing this and it will result in this, because clearly that is exactly what a person who has been doing this for however long would have to do. Be like, I say to myself when I sign on to Zoom, I say, I'm going to click on the mouse and I'm going to open the Zoom meeting and I'm going to let people in, because that's how people talk to themselves. Excuse me. I can't even talk to you. So yeah, it's sort of like it was part of the charm in the early 60s. They kind of like moved on by the 70s from that kind of exposition. And I'm really entertained now because this is 1991. We're talking almost 30 years later.
Right.
And let me find this exact part, because this was really funny to me. Spider-Man says to himself, one webline swing ought to get me close enough to launch a patented spider tracer, which means I can track the car down no matter where it ends up. No one else was around. He said this to himself.
Right. Right.
Like,
right.
Okay.
Just say, I'll put a spider tracer on your ass. Bang.
Yeah.
Spider tracer, boom, and just show it.
Boom.
So that was one thing, because I often gotten frustrated at some of the comics we've read, that this exposition thing. And I was like, and when I read that and I saw those 2 cells with the half, I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's good exposition. Show, don't tell. They tell you that in movie writing, TV writing, fiction writing. Show, don't tell. And that was, I actually caught my, I really did like that. I did like that.
It's actually a pretty frequently used thing in Spider-Man. I don't know why they don't really use it that much with other people. Maybe it's because Spider-Man is the only one whose face is like really fully covered, but they do that a lot with the whole like half of his face is Spider-Man
and maybe it's because maybe it's because, like you said, the older comics. Look, we've seen, if you look at movies, you can look at great movies of the past, and you look at them in light of the way movies are done today, and you're like, well, that's kind of dated, etc. Because over the years, they're figuring out how to make this kind of art, how to narrate, how to tell the story. But you guys know, like, if you hear and you're in a movie, like movies, you see them do it all the time. You hear like a little squeeze box accordion playing and somebody sipping an espresso, you know it's set in France, right?
Okay.
They do the film and you hear a little rattle like a, and you see a desert and it's filmed in sepia, Mexico. Right? You know, like there's these things that they use that they can communicate without saying a single line of dialogue, and they can give you so much information. But it took a long time to figure that out. Is that called
remote viewing?
That is astral projection.
Isn't that also like remote viewing?
I think astral projection is the pseudoscience word for astral projection. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes.
Curious if you feel it, because I just started looking into this and it's fascinating. And it has nothing to do with this, but it sort of has to do with what you're saying. Like, there's the CIA was teaching techniques on how to do that show.
Okay.
They were doing research, and so was the Soviet Union. In the Cold War, they're like, we will do anything to win this war, even the absurd. Even the absurd. So did I ever tell you I used to do, I don't know if I ever told you this, John. So you know me, because you and I met through Jen, our mutual friend, because I met her at an atheist meetup. So, and you know now, like I don't believe in anything. If you can't prove it scientific in a lab through statistical analysis, to me, I'm like, I have no reason to believe it. But did I ever tell you that like I used to run like a witchcraft organization? Like I used to run the biggest group of witchcraft in New Jersey back in the 90s.
I did not know that. No.
Did you not? Did I not tell you that? Yeah.
I mean, you're telling me this for the first time for everyone to hear.
Yeah. I was a sorcerer for a while. Yes.
Dude, would you consider yourself just a non-currently practicing sorcerer?
Say that again. I didn't hear you.
Did you call me Alanis? Right on.
Alanis, I'm a big. My favorite concert I ever went to. Second favorite. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. But what I was trying to say is awesome. I love her. I want her to adopt us. But what I was gonna say was, would you see yourself as like a currently non-practiced sorcerer?
No. I don't. I don't have any like supernatural beliefs that exist outside of what can be demonstrated through the scientific method. However, I also do consider, I know this is derailing a little bit, but I am a very spiritual guy. But it's kind of like Carl Sagan's spirituality, of how we are all part of the vast cosmos, and there really is no separation between myself and anything else in the cosmos, except for the separation I create in my own mind. I'm a Buddhist. I'm a secular Buddhist.
That's even good. Me too. I'm a Zen Buddhist.
You don't have to have all those spiritual, supernatural beliefs to be a Buddhist. So yeah,
I actually read a really interesting book about that called the Confessions of an Atheist Buddhist, which I thought was a really interesting book. Yeah.
I would say it's more of a philosophy than a religion.
Well, yeah. No, I agree. There's nothing, apparently, you got to look at the fact that this guy, the Buddha was out there like 2,500 years ago. So scientific knowledge is not what it is now, but apparently like the oldest texts that were written closest to his own lifetime, there wasn't really much supernatural that he wrote about. It was more like it was a lot of, if you distill it, is like what psychologists today called cognitive behavioral therapy.
CBT. Yeah, absolutely.
CBT. All right, so which explains a lot. So clearly, you've been a long time in therapy and you deal with your own issues.
I am in occupational therapy. So yes.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Right.
So back to football, guy.
Ken Radner speaking. Anyway.
And thank you, Ken, for being
Yes.
channeled yet again to save
Right.
us from ourselves. I did note that there was a point in time where Jane's skirt was well, it was like kind of a night thingy, like a teddy, if
Like
you
a little
will.
teddy, yeah.
Yeah, she was wearing a
Yeah,
teddy, right?
Jane Dixon. I've pronounced her last name Dixon, but that's semantic.
Oh,
I felt
Right.
like she
Yeah, there you go.
kind of there was two things about her full uh view that disturbed me and intrigued me both. One
Okay.
was that it looked like she had the tiniest butt cheek in the entire universe.
oh, I'm looking
And
at that right
the
now.
other thing,
Yeah,
and you're
she's
gonna
not.
laugh,
She's definitely not Latina.
she is
That's
packing so much D in front and not at the same time.
Yeah.
And this is the first transgender in comics that I've ever seen. The timeline 1991.
Hope. Hey, you know what?
Hey,
You might have seen other trans comic characters and just didn't know.
no, I disagree. I think this is definitely. I'm saying like when I was reading comics, like which was a long time ago, the last time I was reading comics, there
Mhm.
wasn't so much of an understanding of transgender folk, and
Oh yeah.
I never
Sure.
looked for any such thing. And it's so interesting to note that I was like, oh, this is if you look at the frontal crotchal region on Jane Dixon,
Bachelor region.
I'm telling you,
Maybe that Dixon is intentional.
Yeah.
she's
Dixon
wearing a
Jane, right?
speedo.
You know what else I liked about Jane Dixon?
Tell me.
I can identify with her having a penis. A.
All right.
B.
Me
1
neither.
o'clock in the morning, just like me. My girl's sitting there eating them milk and cookies, baby. I totally get that 1 a.m. snack binge, babe. Oh yeah, I get
Excellent.
that.
There it is. All right.
But the difference
I
between
think-
me and her is if my phone rang at 1 o'clock in the morning, and this is pre-cell phones and all that
Right.
shit, I would have been like, I'm not answering that fucking call. I'm eating my milk
Well,
and cookies.
Okay, to be fair though, she did seem concerned. She's like, "Oh, like Phil's the only one who would know that I'd be up at this time. I wonder what's wrong."
That's
so it
true.
seemed like it was probably like, "Oh, I don't feel like answering. I'm gonna eat my milk and cookies." It was like, yeah, I hope
Fair.
everything's okay. Yeah, like that. And I would say that just about covers the entirety. I mean, sadly, it doesn't. But I would say that covers the entirety of NFL SuperPro.
I got one more. I'm not
Oh.
done yet. I'm not
Oh,
counting.
you're not done yet. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So, do you remember everybody here seen Goodfellas?
Yes.
Okay. Remember when Henry Hill got arrested and the cops are yelling at him and he goes, "That's how I knew it was the cops and it wasn't a hit." Because the hit, they come up quiet. They come up quiet and you never hear it coming, right?
Right.
These fucking assassins, they showed up with an army issue tow anti-tank missile launcher. Did you notice that? They had a fucking missile launcher. Who does that?
They're unprofessional assassins.
Clearly.
They want to attract as much attention as possible.
Let's go stealth mode, please, guys. Let's
with
get
a missile
tank.
launcher. You know,
So
you know what
subtle. Great
yeah,
job.
they you know what they
go
were?
in undetected. The fucking ninjas are screaming.
They're the loudest ninjas ever. You know what they must be? You know how it's like now you got all these guys, they're like all into tactical gear.
Right.
They're all tactical. And meanwhile, you're like, dude, you have a heart condition. You're 47 pounds overweight and a bad knee. And you want me to believe that you're like it's the guys who attacked the Capitol building on January 6th.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
Remember?
God, I wasn't there.
You know,
like
like-
six people died. One got shot by a cop. Another cop got killed by the injury. And I think the other four were just fat guys who had heart attacks trying to attack the Capitol building because
There
they
you
couldn't
go.
climb stairs. Those are the guys in the
I would
tactical
say-
gear. And I think that guy's one of these guys who bought tactical gear off the internet.
I was like looking at it and I was like, what do you call that thing that they used in like what was it, like I don't know, like the 1300s, like the giant wooden log that they used to like smash the door in.
Battering ram.
Okay,
Yes.
battering ram. I'm like, where's your battering ram? Why are you being so subtle about it? why aren't you like just slamming the door in with a giant piece of wood?
Yeah,
anyway,
like a bunch of animals.
Yeah. So
I had a question.
okay.
Do you guys know when Super Pro was like on top of the roof with that first dude? It was like trying to shake him down for the, like trying to assassinate from rooftop. You remember
one?
that?
You're talking about the very beginning?
Is that the one at the very beginning? Yeah.
Yeah. So that one, what the heck went on? Wasn't he supposed to get the cops to pick that guy up? And they never followed up with that. Did that ever happen? Or did they just let that be said?
Oh, you're talking about in the middle, but wasn't that the one where Spider-Man was? Hold on a second. Yeah, I
like
wondered
pretty
about
close
that.
to the beginning. It was
He
pretty
threw-
close to the beginning.
Yeah.
This
He was
was
trying to kill the guy.
or something.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man came out like at the end of this scene,
Right.
but like before that even happened, they're on top of the roof and fucking Super Pro's like, I'm gonna shake it down. Oh no, the ballet's shot the guy. Damn it. I'm up here for no fucking reason. I'm the worst superhero ever. And then
Oh yeah, I know the
and
one
then
you're talking
he's
about.
like smacks
Yeah,
the
this is it.
assassin down,
This is that whole part right there.
He tries to jump off and he's like, I'll deal with you later. The cops will get you.
Yeah, there was no
And, like,
resolution with that guy.
Maybe the cops picked him up. I don't know. I mean,
I love the fact that he's an assassin with highly visible red shoes that anybody would pick out in a fucking lineup.
No, his crotch
Right.
freaked me out. It was weird. The way they drew his crotch was weird.
I just want to say that this is the best part of getting the actual original comic.
Oh, is that Bill and
That's
Ted?
awesome.
It's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on Nintendo Entertainment System and Game Boy. This is an advertisement that just brings me back to my childhood, and this is the kind of thing that I would see, and I would say, I want the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure game.
I dare you to rip that page out and burn the rest of the comic and hang the Bill and Ted on your wall.
that page, Hope, and the two ones with the good exposition of Spider-Man and Super Pro were the only things worth salvaging in this story. That's it.
And the bad guy's fucking roof crotch.
Roof crotch.
Let's see here. I mean, the roof crotch. Well, roof crotch guy, and we got like
tiny ass. The itty bitty.
I also like this X-Men figurines and stuff. Like that's kind of cool. Like those advertisements are a lot of fun to look at. But
I feel like in future episodes, if you do this where you like scan and send us the images, send the ads. Send the ads.
And send the images in order. It took me 3 hours to read this comic.
The things that I send you, those are what I take screenshots of. I don't skip the ads. That's just what they give you. And I mean, I could certainly take pictures of the ads and send them to you, but like for me, I usually don't read the comic until like the day before or even sometimes the day of recording. So, yeah. And then that way I can't be blamed.
I can't be blamed.
I blame you. I totally blame you.
So anyway, oh
my God.
This about covers it. I also love that, like, I'm like, hey, all right, guys, let me bring the episode to a close because you hate this comic so much. And you're like, no, I want to keep talking about it. I have more that I want to say about it.
There's so much more we could keep cracking on in this comic.
There is. Actually, there is more.
Yeah. First of all, there's Jane Dixon's tiny ass and huge penis, right?
I'm saying it's so big, right?
That's a lot of. I didn't realize it until you pointed it out. I love the fact, Hope, that you're sitting there and I'm like, look at this hot girl, and you're like, she got a big dick.
She got a big dick.
And all of a sudden, I'm reevaluating myself as a person.
Right.
my whole
Fine.
identity. But
Nirvana taught us everyone is gay. That's fucking awesome.
Everyone
We
is
love
gay.
that package.
Look,
Everyone
Look,
is
if
gay.
they are, then they are. It's not if that's how they want to live their lives. And you know what, man? That scene at the end where NFL SuperPro is beating the shit out of all those stealthy ninjas. Maybe that's like
Stealthy with a
I
missile
don't know.
launcher. Yeah, stealthy with a missile launcher. But back to you, John. You were saying
This is how America does ninjas.
this is reasonable ninja-ness in the U.S. Yeah, good one.
Absolutely. Every one of those ninjas went into the house going, "What the-" and I'm like, yes, exactly. That's how they would do it.
We're not complicit. Like, shut the fuck. We are not ninja-ing.
So,
Stop
it.
this is written in 1991. Did you guys
I know.
catch? So I remember this vividly because I was like, I'm not going to Los Angeles when they made the comment about shooting people on the freeway.
Yes. Yes.
Because that was a thing in LA at the time. It was just like,
I got a little PTSD, honestly, because I live in Tucson for a little while, and you could hear shots.
not much different. Not much different. That's why I love the idea
God.
that in Miami, they were like, no, we should have right to carry. Because if there's one thing we need in Miami, have you ever tried driving in Miami? I'll answer the question. Don't do it. It's terrible now. Now everybody has the right to carry a gun. It's going to end up great. Nobody's going to get murdered.
No.
Wait,
not
are
at
you
all.
serious? Wait, when did this happen?
Like within the past year, apparently there was a thing there, right to carry in Miami. So,
I mean, you have to question other states that have transferred from non-right to carry to right to carry states. Has there been extreme amounts of gunplay increase in those states? That's the statistics I would look at, and the statistics of that area to make a decision. Do I know those statistics personally? No. Do I?
No, but
can
you
I
are
agree
sensible.
with that decision? Can I agree with that decision? Not with the amount of information that I have. That's the honest answer.
Because you are a sensible person and you're like, let's look at the data.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to look at the data and say, hey, what makes sense? Not Second Amendment. But that's neither here nor there for this podcast.
If I was running shit, I would be like, you can have your privileges as long as you respect and abide them as citizens.
Yeah.
If you can't respect
Because
and
everyone is
abide them,
going
then
to,
you're gonna
obviously.
get 10 years where you can't brandish. 10 years, you can't fucking carry. Then after that time, the state makes the decision, has the populace improved itself enough that we can warrant having more, guns open carry.
I like the
That's
fact that you already have a policy structured in 4 seconds. Congress has been working on this for 160 years.
I think on my feet. If you asked me to fix Congress, I couldn't do it in a day, but tell me the problems and bitch, I'll solve it.
But you know what?
Did you just go Vanilla Ice?
Oh shit!
You
But
fucking went Vanilla Ice!
But you know
Holy
what?
shit!
I think right now, Hope just went Ken. Hope just kenned us.
I can do
just
both.
kenned you. You kenned us.
Yep.
I can do it.
Hope can ken.
I can
Hope
do
can
it. Ha! All right.
I love weed.
Yeah.
But seriously, that
God.
was the real answer, because what these people don't do, these quote unquote politicians who actually don't create goals and healthful solutions to things, they perpetuate the problems. What these politicians don't do is policy create. They don't create from the ground up. They don't say, you know what, this whole thing we need to restructure. I don't even think the party system has been reevaluated. It's not working. We don't have the choice of representatives that we could find to be sane for our whole populace. Now we look like a bunch of weirdos, because of these wrong policies that are made that are outstandingly outdated and don't actually personify the views of the majority of the people.
Everything that was written in 1776 by the founding fathers is perfect and contains everything we need to know.
It's called obsolescence. And the obsolescence of this shit was not planned, but it happened. And guess what? No one is addressing the fact that our policy data has to be redone.
You know what's funny when you say that is like, we adhere to the quote founding fathers, right? But we forget when you talk about obsolescence, these guys didn't know what bacteria was.
Right.
And they believe that you got sick because you had too much yellow bile and blood in your body. This is who we're like, what they said is sacred. It's crazy. Oh, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Well, you also understand that the right to bear arms in 1776 was basically you have the right to carry a firearm that can shoot one bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You should
but
do
if you're
that.
a
You
woman,
can-
but if you're a
Yeah.
woman, you can't, and you also can't show your ankles in
That's
that
true.
year.
I don't
Or
want to
vote.
see anyone's ankles anyway.
Really?
No, I'm
Even Jane Dixon's? You could sit
It's
there.
on.
You
I
can
will
sit
see-
there, kneel
That's
at
for
her
my
feet,
friends.
look-
hold her
That's-
ankles as her penis is laying on your head.
I will. No. What I'm thinking
Gotta
more
call
along
it
the lines of
on.
is this. I'm looking at her ankles while she's standing up, and right next to her ankle is the tip of her penis. So this is like,
Dang.
okay, you
It's
got
a
a
lot of
lot to
penis.
hide there. Like,
It's a
maybe
lot of
she's
penis.
squatting. I don't know. But
Good for Jane, man.
but on that note, of the Jane Dixon having a dicks on the
Dixon.
floor,
Dixon.
a dicks on the floor.
Jane Dixon's on
That's for my
Jane's
friend
dicks on
Dave.
John's head. Eh,
This is
For my friend-
this is my punishment. This is my punishment for making you do this.
Payback's a
Yeah,
bitch, bro.
Listen, Dave's going to a singing conference shortly. He has to bone up on his evil skills.
Right. So now I have a question.
What?
I have a question for you guys regarding this NFL SuperPro #1 of the series, 1 of 12, which is like 12 too many. How many broken football helmets up Hitler's ass is this one getting?
I thought it was footballs out of Pete Rose's ass.
I mean, if you want to go by that too, but
Wait, what
is
are-
Pete Rose? I thought Pete Rose was baseball.
Yeah, no, that's why it's perfect.
Okay, I mean, sure,
That's hope. That's hope math.
hope math.
That's hope math. Yes.
I mean,
Really
look,
good at
I mean,
math.
either way, just say a number and we'll go with it.
Wait, so what are we putting up whose ass this episode?
I mean, my thing was broken football helmets up Hitler's ass.
Broken football helmets. Anytime we can do anything to Hitler, then we're good.
Doesn't matter what we're talking about.
Doesn't matter.
I
Cactus.
guess you're right. Pete Rose is like not that bad.
Well, the
Oh,
worst he
not
did.
that
The
bad.
worst he did was bet against his.
Hitler
Wasn't
gets
he?
the square.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wasn't it the worst that Pete Rose did? Was he bet against his own team or something through a few games?
so, I don't know.
Something like that.
I don't
It
know
don't
what
matter.
he
It
did.
don't matter. It's sports. It doesn't really
I'm
affect
pretty
anybody's life.
Pete Rose ignorant. I'll be 100% honest.
It's pro sports. It's arguably the most unimportant thing. So
Definitely.
it doesn't. He really hurt
It's
nobody.
important.
Right.
It's wiener on wiener on wiener. So that's like all sports is to me. So like that's like all I know about sports is like, yeah,
All
all
right.
the blood has yep. Hello.
Hi. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
What was that? Are you hitchhiking?
I'm doing a thumb up Hitler's ass now.
John was like this. He was like this. He was going.
It's like the
Yeah.
thumb is like getting Jane Dixon's dick up
Yo.
off the floor.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
Jane, how many of Jane Dixon's dicks up Hitler's ass?
that
feel
thing
like
is
she's
really
packing.
long.
I feel
That
like
thing
she's
is
packing.
long. Yeah.
Let's put those up his ass.
So I'll
Right.
start because
Yeah.
I've been waiting for a long time for a decent piece of Jane Dixon's pancake ass. No, for a decent piece of exposition. And I was so pleasantly surprised by that I will give it only 462 Jane Dixon's dicks of Hitler's ass. 462.
Yeah.
It could be so much
Okay.
worse. It could be
Could
so
be.
much worse.
Look, that's a
So
lot of dicks up anyone's ass. So that's fine. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna pee my pants. You have to continue without me. Be right.
We'll pause. I guess
Yeah,
we
we'll-
can pause.
We'll pause for a minute.
We can pause for a moment.
Don't pause.
we-
Just carry on without me.
Well, I
Well,
can't
no,
carry
no.
on with that's not the show.
It's your turn to tell me how many dicks up a person's ass.
What? Wait, what? What am I doing? What?
Hope, you have to tell us how many broken football helmets up Hitler's ass this comic gets.
I'm really confused. I thought it was Jane Dixon dicks.
Doesn't
I mean,
really
that
matter.
too.
It doesn't matter.
It literally
As long
doesn't matter.
as long as something goes up Hitler's ass. It's really doesn't matter. Could be a Studebaker.
Yeah.
It could be a fist.
Could be like a really like bristly hairbrush. I don't know, like whatever,
Yeah.
man.
It could be Michelle Obama. It doesn't matter.
All right, how many Michelle Obama?
Poor Michelle.
Wait,
She's so
for
nice.
everybody.
Hope we would have waited for you.
No, it's okay. You're here at the perfect time because I'm gonna give this comic. We'll get 48. No, 47.
Uh-huh.
No, 48 Hitler's Hitler's ass. That's
Hope
my
just seized
final.
up. Hope just
48
completely seized up.
48 Hitlers up Hitler's ass.
I'm sorry. It was so hard to not laugh at saying that. I would like to put 47 Hitlers in Hitler's ass over this comic.
Hitler's now
47.
like the image of the snake devouring its own head. You know that symbol.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Except it's Hitler sticking his head up his own ass instead. So it's like very similar but very different.
So I'll say, how many Jane dicks on Hitler's ass and in Hitler's ass too? Maybe I'll give it like 673. It's just some arbitrary number because the comic sucks. And Hitler's worse than the comic.
You know,
and
this comic does not make me as angry as some of the other comics because I feel like I wonder.
Everyone's dumber in this comic. That's why.
What's that?
Dumb.
Yeah.
Everyone's dumber in this comic.
They are dumb.
They are, yeah.
But here's the thing. What I'm wondering is, so the guy who created this comic is like, bruh, I'm getting tickets. I don't give a fuck.
Tickets. Yeah.
I'm gonna have fun with this shit. So I wonder, like the other comics we've written, they were like, serious. This is part of the, comic book canon. This is X-Men versus this, and blah, 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 right? This is just like, I'm gonna write this shit and get some free tickets. Was it intentionally terrible? Like, you know how certain things, like there's movies like, you remember Samuel L. Jackson in Deep Blue Sea? Did you ever see that?
I did not see that. No.
Don't, because it was supposed to be an actual movie and is awful because Samuel L. Jackson was playing a scientist.
Yeah.
Which you lost me already. And I love Samuel L. Jackson, by the way, but do what you do well. Scientist with the sweater draped over his shoulders and tied in the front like he's from Connecticut because Samuel L. Jackson looks like he's from the Berkshires, I guess.
Right.
So and that was a bad movie. That wasn't. That was like, it's like the producers were like, oh, you mean this is bad, right?
What?
On the other side of the shark movie is Sharknado. Sharknado was produced with the intention, how shitty
of being a terrible movie.
Can I make this movie? And it became iconic. So I wonder, was this one of those that they were like, no, we're going to make a really shitty comic?
No. If you want my opinion, I'm going to give you my opinion on this one.
John, that's all I do every fucking day. I was like, I want to know what John thinks about this.
What John thinks. I don't think it was written intentionally shitty.
Really?
And I don't think that it was written with any sort of like dignity in mind. I just think that it was thrown together And the guy was like, yeah, whatever, that's good enough. That's fine. People will read it. I don't think that it was written poorly on purpose because I don't get that vibe. I don't get that, wow, someone actually like wrote this. It just seems to me like, okay, what am I going to do? There's a football player and a Spider-Man, and they need to be working together. So, boom, there you go. Hit the presses.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to be optimistic.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they meant it to be bad. I just don't think they put a whole lot of time into the writing. And I
Right.
think
Yeah, exactly.
that's what you're
Right.
seeing. I think
Right.
that like in a normal like full-fledged episode of like established character X comic that's not trying to make NFL tickets for some
Yeah.
guy like who wrote it, like, all right, good for you.
Mhm.
You know, or whoever, like even if it was a chick who wrote it, who cares? I'm not being generous. I'm saying like, you know, all right, we're gonna get through this one real quick because I gotta
Mhm.
get to the other Marvel superheroes that I love to create. You know,
I got to get back to my real job.
My real job, right?
Back
Exactly.
to the
right.
real job. You know what this does
I'm gonna
remind me
go
of?
to my Jets game, and I'm gonna get to my real job.
It did have an I have to do this vibe a little bit.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did. It was like, oh, I feel like I'm doing homework, and it feels like this is the kind of thing. This is the kind of thing that like a seventh grader had to write,
I
and
have to
like,
write a paper on this
and
topic.
someone took what the seventh grader did and like drew good pictures to go along with it, and like that's kind of
Right.
that's all I got from it.
Yeah.
So that's what it's like when you're an artist and you take on work that, like, you know, now someone's kind of forcing you to do it, and maybe you really don't fully want those tickets. Like, it's okay, but you know, you're paid.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Well, listen, even I remember reading this about, I think it was Stephen King, who and you guys know I love Stephen King. Not all of his writings are really that great. I mean, he's got a lot of great writing, but some of them are kind of like, and I remember watching him in an interview, and he was like, yeah, because you know he's got like because that guy just writes. He just words fall out of him by accident, right?
Yeah.
And so he's got like a closet full of manuscripts. And I remember learning something where he was like, yeah, my kid needed tuition.
Nice.
And it was like that. So I was like, yeah, kid needed tuition.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I wanted to go to a free football game. Okay. Well, so I have a little bit of a break here because the next one is a way of saying thank you. It's going to be an episode about something that's good, something that is not shitty. And Hope is like giving that whole face. You guys both know we're going to be talking about 2005, The Producers movie with Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane.
Oh, now I have an excuse to watch that.
Yes. Have you never seen it?
No, I haven't.
Dave, do you not know at all the story of The Producers?
Well, I've watched The Producers, like the original one with Gene Wilder and such. Yeah.
I got you. Okay. Well, that's less exciting for me because I'm like, oh my God, you have to watch this movie because I love this fucking movie. And it's going to be the next episode.
Well, I think I'm excited because I think they're both like incredibly talented performers. It's a great script, etc. So yeah,
yes.
Wow,
so we're gonna be talking about that. And
this is John's way of keeping us as friends for another 6 months.
Exactly.
Yes, no, that's kind of why I'm paying attention.
You to be on the show.
It's like I'm multitasking over here. I'm like making a sweet ass asparagus stew. Like, go on, John, tell us what's going to happen.
Oh, asparagus. That's my favorite pea smell.
So good.
Anyway, this brings us to the end. Sadly. No more NFL SuperPro #1 discussion.
What are we going to do with the rest of our nights?
Masturbate.
Yeah, right on.
Masturbate with Jane Dixon's dick.
Oh,
my arms aren't that long.
I didn't really fully answer that one question. If I was supposed to put Jane Dixon's inside of Hitler, I
You've
wouldn't.
we've already sailed past that. You went with
I
broken
know.
football helmets.
I just don't want
No,
to.
you answered. You kept going back and forth between 47 and 48.
No, it was
That's right.
definitely 47. I didn't want that extra, Hitler to be
Right.
named.
I
Yeah.
So
understand.
I figured like, at 47, I finally realized I'm just making more Hitlers that are in existence. I'm gonna stop. And I
47.
I was counting up, and I wasn't sure if I got to 48 before I decided that or not. But no,
47 is just right.
It was like
48,
47, like a
too much.
third.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
But because
Anyway.
Ken Radner is not here today, the plug section is going to be shorter. So let's start with Dave. Where people going to find you?
We can find me on Facebook as Dave Aguilar, Aguilar. You can also find me on Instagram at basically just Dave. That is not a description. That is the name. Basically just Dave. And I also do some writing. So my writing, if you feel like getting really depressed and unhappy about life, like I generally am, you can check out my writing at my blog, where it says ariesdesk.blogspot.com. That's EYRIES, Airy. That's ariesdesk.blogspot.com. Stop by, say hello, give feedback, criticize me, call me names. I don't care.
It's true. You can call Dave any name you want, and he'll be like, "Yeah,
Yeah, I have no emotions. I work in the auto industry, so I have no feelings left. You can't hurt me.
excellent." And Hope, we
lost you.
No, you can't lose hope. You just misplaced me for a little while. But no, I'm Hope, also known as one of the last known surviving members of a thing called Secret Ion. Also in another band with John Seymour called Wavelength, an homage to the music of Alanis Morissette. And once in a while, he's in Synthetic Fist, which might be a podcast someday. So am I. I think we do other things too, but that's probably it for now. And shout out to my home skillet, Dave Dixon, who inspired Jane Dixon's last name. You can see him on Paul Cheza and Friends.
All right.
The Double Trouble radio station.
Double Trouble Radio.
iHeart USA. Anyways, but I'll be on Instagram, Liquid Imagination. You look up Secret Ion on Facebook, look up Wavelength on Facebook, look up whatever you want. Liquid Imagination is my art on Facebook also, where you can find my birth name, Jen Woodison, at facebook.yahoo.org. Whatever the end.
Okay. I'm very excited. I'm very excited about this. I did not realize that there was that you guys were doing Alanis Morris tribute. Alanis Morris tribute. I am so.
Yeah, we've already played a whole show.
Yes, and we're going to be playing a whole lot more now that I have recovered from multiple bouts of bullshit. Coming to a theater nowhere else ever.
Hey.
All is well. So.
My name is Ken Radner. I host a podcast called Star Trek: The Undiscovered Podcast with Greg Vorob.
Has John Seymour ever been on that show?
Yes, I have. John Seymour is me, and I have been on the show multiple times. I don't remember what the names of the episodes are. Something like the Khan episode or whatever. I honestly know nothing about Star Trek. The only Star Trek that I know is the episodes or movies that they tell me to watch in preparation for the show. And the last one that I watched was the one with Christopher Lloyd, which I was really mostly disappointed by, because I'm like, he was so good as Dr. Doom, but he sucks as this villain. I don't know what happened there.
He's such a great performer as a character actor, but I have to agree with you. He couldn't. I don't know. I couldn't see anything other than Christopher Lloyd.
It was Christopher Lloyd. It was like I felt like I was watching Doc Brown with a whole bunch of makeup.
Right.
I was like, what am I watching here?
Like
But
when
anyway,
he was Uncle Fester, for example, he was Fester. You didn't see Christopher Lloyd. You saw Uncle Fester. But with the Star Trek one, you saw Christopher Lloyd. I agree.
Same thing with Doctor Doom. That is one of my favorite performances, Doctor Doom. Because I'm like, holy shit, Christopher Lloyd is intimidating as a motherfucker. Like, damn, that's very impressive. But you can find me on Facebook, John Seymour, JON space SEYMOUR. I'm making a weird, goofy face. I'm giving the finger guns to the camera. So you can find me there on Facebook. Come see Mad Tea Party, February 17th. Mad Tea Party, February 17th at the Orange Lantern in Paramus, New Jersey. We hit the stage at 8:30 p.m. And watch the Super Bowl, I guess. Because from what I understand, that's coming up soon.
I'm glad we're promoting on this show the Super Bowl because I don't think enough people know about it.
No.
Not enough. No, not at all.
Nope. Brilliant TV. I'm not endorsing that shit. Take me out of the we. It's me. I'm Hope. I'm the last known surviving member of a thing called Secret Ion. Someone got all the bands right now.
And so, on that note, I would like to thank Dave Aguilar. I'd like to thank Woodison. I'd like to thank Hope Woodison. I would like to thank the ghost of Ken Radner, who was impressively enough made several appearances throughout this episode.
Yeah, but that's only because I actually made a pentagram of salt and lit a candle, and we summoned him. So you could thank me later. Although Ken Radner is probably sitting there going, "What the fuck? I wasn't supposed to be on this podcast."
It's like what? It's like every few minutes every few minutes he's like, why did I just feel like my soul left my body and then came back? And I feel dumber now. Every time it happens, I feel fucking dumb.
That's because I'm a retired sorcerer, but I am still a sorcerer.
I thought it was more along the lines of. I thought it was more along the lines of because he was talking about NFL SuperPro. But I mean, any way to get it done, we'll get it done. And on that note, I will thank everyone involved. And good night.
Good night. Thanks, guys. Hail Satan.
Down to Georgia, he was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind and he was willing to make a deal. When he came across this young man sawing on a fiddle and playing it hot, and the devil jumped up on a hickory stump and said, boy, let me tell you what. I guess you didn't know it, but I'm a fiddle player too. And if you'd care to take a dare, I'll make a bet with you. Now you play pretty good fiddle, boy, but give the devil his due. I bet a fiddle of gold against your soul because I think I'm better than you. The boy said, my name's Johnny, and it might be a sin, but I'll take your bet and you're gonna regret, cause I'm the best as ever been. Johnny, rosin up your bow and play your fiddle hard, cause hell's broke loose in Georgia and the devil deals the cards. And if you win, you get this shiny fiddle made of gold, but if you lose, the devil gets your soul.